Hello and welcome to the Alter Project. Before starting today's video, I would like to say one small problem I have with people in the comments section, or in particular a single user. I mean, look at this. Gosh, if you think I'm the type of person who do whatever the comment section tells me, you're wrong. Doing Petra. Who do you think I am? Petra. So today we're going to be building Petra. Yes, the continuation episode of the World Heritage Site series. However, before going into Petra any further, I would like to quickly, almost imperceptibly, slide in a huge thank you to you all for 1,000 plus views on the Temple of Judo video, and for 50 plus subscribers on this very bizarre channel. Our next goal is 100 subscribers and hopefully over 100 views on every video, especially this video. Someone go make that 100 views. But pulling ourselves back into the main topic, yes, we're going to be building Petra, and I am very excited. Rather than building the whole rocky complex of Petra, I've decided to only build a structure influenced by what is arguably the most iconic structure in Petra, Al-Khazne, or commonly known as the treasury. Now, I am going to stress this every time, but my World Heritage Site series is a series where I build structures inspired off of remarkable sites around the globe, and not a series where I recreate every single detail of the already existing site. In most cases, it is just going to look far from what it actually looks like in the real world. So with that said, let's begin. For today's build, we're going to be making our version of Petra in Alter's Mesa biome. As you may notice, there is a huge chunk that doesn't look quite like the environment surrounding it, and that's due to chunk generating issues that I hope will never happen again. But for better or the worse, this huge plot of water is convenient for today's video for reasons I will explain later. For now, we're going to be erasing most of the trees and replacing stone and grass blocks with polished diorite and orange terracotta blocks. Then we will move our building site to this sudden depression of land where we'll be building our version of the treasury. In order to enter Petra, in the real world, visitors must walk through these narrow stone gorges called the Sick. The utilization of natural barriers is a defensive tactic many ancient cities used to protect their city from outside attacks. The incorporation of these complicated long entrance routes can be traced all the way back to the prehistoric times, when people would make cave paintings in the deepest, most dangerous parts of the caves. To recreate the Sick, I'll be using the brush tool to stack layers of red sand, which is useful when building cliffs since the sand falls to create a more cliff-like form, rather than just being stacks of spheres made of non-gravity obeying blocks. Using the smooth tool, I smoothed out the top surface and then went off building the facade of our grand temple. So the temple I'll be making is straight up a recreation of Al-Khazne, with its ornate Corinthian columns, a broken pediment, and the tholos located on the center top of the facade. I also added these statues of the 5 elders who in the world of Altar ruled this ancient city in the middle of the desert. However, reality tends to be much cooler. On the top we have the Amazons and Victories flanking what is thought to be the goddess Isis Tyche, a fusion of the Egyptian goddess Isis and the Greek goddess of fortune Tyche. On the bottom level are the 2 twin gods Castor and Pollux, the Dioscuri who protected travelers of both the living and the dead on their journeys. Fun fact, it was thought that the urn, which is that jar on top of the tholos, contained a hidden treasure from the Egyptian pharaoh and was shot many times by the local Bedouins in hopes that gold will pour out of it. Pretty cool. I wanted to see if there are any more blocks that had the pinkish orangish hue the rocks in Petra have, but the combination of orange terracotta and regular terracotta was all I was able to think of. Next, I started adding what we might call the fantasy aspect of the build by adding huge stone pillars and stone spikes emerging off the ground and the cliff sides. I also returned to the entrance of the Sick to make it so the entrance is so unbelievably narrow that it is barely noticeable. Petra is also famous for its very advanced water system, hence is why I built a stream of water flowing beside the path to the treasury. I also added these spiderweb-like stone structures to see if I could potentially make that an area people can explore in the near future as well. Then I spent the next few days just refining the bumpy cliff walls. I did occasionally use the /smooth tool, but most of the smoothing was done by hand, so it took a while to complete it. Rather than showing you the whole tedious process, I'm gonna just show you guys a quick before and after picture of when the walls were still rigid and when the walls were smoothed out. To add extra detail, I started carving out these lines on the flat surface, which allows the walls to look more wally, since the walls in Petra have these horizontal lines which are of course created by the difference in color, but are also created by the subtle depressions in the walls. Moving back to the treasury, I also built a large stream with smaller streams flowing into it from uphill, which is where the treasury stands. Another reminder that this ancient ruins and altar still has a fully functioning water system even after the disappearance of its inhabitants. I decorated the sandstone wall above the treasury with these chunks of sandstone cubes to add more dimension to the flat wall. In addition, I also applied a few more lines. And lastly, I began decorating the interior of the treasury. The interior is really just this small room, which is similar to the actual interior of Al-Khazneh and not the one depicted in Indiana Jones. The only difference is that this temple serves as the gateway into the ancient city, whereas in reality, the Khazneh is a structure located on the way to the great city of Petra. I didn't use any blocks for the light source. Instead, I simply opened a hole in the ceiling to pour in natural lighting. Since it is called the treasury, I initially thought of placing stacks of gold in this room, but I then thought it would be thematically unaligned to what I was trying to convey through this structure. While Petra was a city prosperous from trade, I think what delineates the value of the current Petra isn't the potentiality of gold being hidden somewhere underneath the surface, but the story this mystical environment is able to tell through the years it has been left untouched. So that is about it for the building process. Let's move on to a few fun facts about Petra. Now you may be like, wait, that's it? Petra isn't composed of just the Khazneh and the Sikh. There are many more temples and theaters that you left out of this video. And you are totally correct. However, in my defense, and as a warning about my future videos, there will probably be many times in which I don't build some of the most important structures originating from the site. And it isn't because I think one structure has lesser value than the other, but because I am simply building structures that I want to build and incorporate to this map called Altar. And also, given time-wise, I don't think I could squeeze everything from the World Heritage Site in a single video I make in 2 weeks. Take Florence for an example. The whole city is enlisted as a World Heritage Site and has so many things to see. Now, seeing that I have spent 5+ years making this map and haven't finished making a single city, I don't know how long it will take me to recreate Florence, so please do forgive me if I cut out some of your favorite parts of the World Heritage Sites. If you do want me to build something so badly, please leave a comment in the comments section in which I may make a video about it like I did for today. This also doesn't mean I wouldn't be adding any more to the builds I previously made. For example, I am planning to add a grand sandstone city ruin behind the walls of today's temple. Just not now, but somewhere in the near future. So more about Petra. Petra isn't actually its real name. Petra quite literally means rock in ancient Greek, which is understandable since all of the structures standing in Petra have been made through carving rock walls instead of building the structures from individual materials. The proper name for the city is actually called Rakhmu, a city created by the Nabateans, which will stand as one of the most prosperous cities in the Middle East for centuries. According to a video made by Geographics, do check them out, the Nabateans didn't leave much records about the early stages of Petra. Instead, most of the knowledge we have comes from its neighboring cities, which really wanted Petra for its own. For the first 3 centuries, civilizations such as the Greeks and the Jews will continuously attack Petra. However, the natural barriers that the city was surrounded with made the Greeks and the Jews just be like, I give up, I give up. I can't, it's impossible. What? As the Greeks and the Jews were trying to conquer Petra, the Nabateans continued to expand their territory and continued to grow even more richer. By the 2nd century, Petra was a full-fledged capital with its own huge kingdom. However, the Romans came and forced the Nabateans to pay tribute in order to protect their independence. But that was until King Aretas IV swooped out of nowhere and said to the Romans, Hey, stop, just stop. I don't want to pay tribute, I'm a king of a kingdom, and you better recognize me as one. And Augustus, the Roman emperor, somehow just replied, okay. So yay, Petra is now capital of its own independent country, and it is at this time when Petra formed into the remarkable stone-cut city we know and love today, such as the Khazneh, which was a tomb almost certainly built by Aretas IV for himself. What made Petra such a convenient location for trade is how it is sandwiched between so many different regions. This not only made the city more and more wealthy, it also allowed different cultures to merge, giving birth to new unseen types of architecture, the Khazneh being an example. The structure is truly a collage of different styles of architecture originating from all over the lands, with Egyptian-influenced columns to Hellenistic references from the Romans. But trade wasn't the only element that allowed prosperity to thrive in the ancient city for so long. The Nabateans were also masters of manipulating water and created underground systems that stored water for a very, very long time. But where did this water come from? Jordan actually isn't dry all year. Every winter, Jordan is struck by a few giant rainstorms which can cause some flooding. This became the source of water the Nabateans will rely on all year. In the 3rd century AD, the Romans returned again and was like, yeah, you're actually part of us now, and Petra stayed under the Roman influence for some time. However, as part of their conquest, the Romans moved most of their political powers to a place called Bostra in Syria, instead of focusing their power to Petra. Even so, Petra continued to be a thriving city, relying on lots of trade. That is, until the end of the 3rd century, when the trade route the city was so reliant on was shifted. But you know, we still have a bunch of beautiful architecture and amazing water system that can keep everybody alive, so there's no need to completely abandon this site, you know? Well, that idea too was short-lasting since the complex water system broke down in the 4th century and was never fixed again. After that, an earthquake hit in 551 AD, and the land also fell into the hands of Muslim forces in the 7th century. And from this point onwards, the land of Petra will become almost completely forgotten. That is of course until recent history, where we all now praise the city of Petra for its rich background and its beautiful architecture. Petra currently stands as one of the most beautiful man-made cities to have ever existed. And that's about all the fun facts I have for today. Let's move on to the cinematic. So that is pretty much it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next video, with us being in the middle of the spookiest month of the year, I'm thinking of bringing you guys a bit of a Halloween special, so do look forward to that. But that is it. I hope this video deepened your love for Petra even more as it did for me. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.